Okay, sit down. Okay, so we're going to get into something different today. I have actually been led to do this, which means that I have been given the go to do it. You know, I usually keep a lot of my secrets as to how I deal with warfare to myself. But, I have an ancestor that wants to, just open up a little bit. So, first we're going to start off with me being a psychic medium. You know, the body is a portal. So when I go in doing things, rituals and stuff to protect my home, cleanse the home, promote good health within the home. So let's talk about the craft. Let's talk about creation. Okay. So let's say that the home is under attack, right? So we go in, we protect the home, then we cleanse and clear out the home, go in once again and put on a protective border. Okay, so once we get everything out that we no longer want within our space, now we go in with invoking more of how we want to create our space. So, like I do cleansing, house cleansing, and I do good health within my home. Okay, so when individuals do try to do like divination work on me and they can't see what I have going on within my home, because I am a psychic medium, everything about me is a portal, which means that individuals can get insight. Okay, so which means that, through divination, they can see through me of what's going on. They can't come from the outside. So it's like they try to bond and attach themselves to me to be able to see like certain things or get insight. So I'm going to tell you what I do. My secret weapon when it comes to me protecting my body is the herbs. Okay? So I have a shrine, and within my shrine I have like a cupboard of herbs, and I keep my herbs hidden and I keep them sacred. That is my sacred space. Okay, so I'm going to go in. Okay, so working with the herbs is more so of an ancient practice. Okay, so I mean, people, they, some people, they value the herbs, they know about the herbs, they appreciate the herbs, but it's only a select few that really know. um, the herbs not only have physical properties that benefit the body physically, but it also has spiritual representation too. Okay, so with my body being a portal, the number one way, I have to protect the spirit. I have to protect myself, not just my home, me personally. And even when it comes to your children, you can do this too. But the thing is that children do not like tea. Okay, most of them, they do not like tea. So what I will do is that I will put specific herbs into the food, okay, so that my son will consume it. I'm very strong with the herbs and with candles. Okay, so with me being so strong with in certain areas, working with certain tools, I have to be very careful, you know, um, because I fucked up a couple of times. So I'm gonna just tell you. So I was dating this guy, and he asked me to cook for him, and you know, I didn't intentionally do this, but you know, so what I did was I made some honey chicken and I added saffron. So when it comes to the herbs, it's like three parts to the herbs. You have the flower, the stem, and the root. Okay? I don't work too much with the roots just yet. Okay? The roots, that's real heavy. That's like ancestor type shit. You know what I'm saying? Though the more heavier practices. So I usually stick to the stems and the flowers. So saffron is from a flower. Okay, saffron is very powerful. So a lot of the times when it comes to gut health, saffron is really good because saffron will help you to cleanse and clear out your intestine. Okay, there are many ways as to how to detox the gut. Gut health is very important because gut health affects so much more other things within the body. Spiritually, your gut, that's your intuition. So it's good to keep that part of your body clear. Okay. But anyway, so this herb here is called agrimony. So agrimony works well with protection, breaking curses, breaking hexes. When people try to cross you, it uncrosses. Let me see. Okay, overcoming fear and inner blockages. I had to write all this shit down. Blockages, dispels negative emotions, also used for reversing spells. Okay, so I put some other stuff up here because when it comes to the herbs, it's not just about consuming. You can also burn the herbs. Some of the herbs you can also smoke. Like, it's a creative ass world when it comes to the herbs. That's why I love the herbs, you know, and I love them too much. So I had to slow down. So anyway, let me finish telling you, you know, so I made this honey chicken. It was like honey garlic chicken, and I put saffron up there. Then on top of that, I made a butterfly tea. Butterfly tea, the it's called butterfly tea, but it has a more scientific name. Okay, but I call it butterfly tea. Butterfly tea is actually an aphrodisiac. And it too is also a flower. Okay, when we work with the flowers, we're working with a lot of love. You see what I'm saying? A lot of beauty, sensuality, sexuality. So during the time to where I made this chicken and I used the saffron, then on top of that, I served butterfly tea. You know, I ended up putting a love spell on this person. Okay. I didn't know. I didn't know until I had to deal with the aftermath. Then, you know, it's kind of like this individual just kind of went crazy and just like lost their mind. So I had to go in with understanding what the hell was going on and what happened. Okay, so the thing is that, you know, the herbs kind of invoked a lot of like sexual activity, heightened sexuality, heightened desire for sex and all this type of stuff, you know, but it's kind of like I overdid it. You know, like I fed him the chicken, fed him the drink. You know, it was just so like seductive, and you know, in my mind, I'm just like, you know, I'm being nurturing, and you know, I'm being sexy with it too. You know, but it ooh, you know, you got to be careful with what you do and how you do stuff. Okay, so that was a disaster. You know, I'm just like, damn, one night of that, and I'm trying to tell you, I had to deal with dealing with that situation for 5 months. You know, I had gave myself a break from the herbs because I'm just like, damn, I didn't know it was like that. You know, So, sometimes you'll hear stories of like women um, putting like their period blood and red sauce and pasta. You know, that to me, that's very inexperienced, you know, because you should not be using your DNA, because it's kind of like you're signing a blood contract, you know, it's binding you to this person, forever, eternity. Okay, well, let's just say this lifetime, because once you pass, your body dies off. So the contract, ends up dying off too. But for the time to where you are alive, you are carrying this person with you. Whatever they're going through, whatever they have going on, you're going through that shit with them. It's more so of a curse when people do shit like that. I mean, it is to me. You know, back in ancient practices, when it came to the Yanni women, they used to have a temple to where they would house some goddesses, and only spiritually elite men were given access into these temples to where they would be served by these women. Okay, I'm talking about manicures, pedicures, being fed grapes, being entertained. Of course, sexual things were going on, because back in those days, the elite men, they had what you call that magic stick. And so, therefore, they could not procreate or be sexually involved with just regular women. So they had to go long periods with being sexually suppressed. So these temples, were in service for them. So I don't, so when a man ejaculates, it takes him 3 days to recover spiritually, which means that he's open. So he is a portal. So now he's open. And if he's not aware, then it's kind of like, he's just an open vessel out here for anything to attach, to come through, to host. You understand what I'm saying? So there's just a lot that just kind of go into the herbs. But, acrimony is my number one go-to. I have other herbs, but, I cannot tell everything. I cannot give away all my secrets, all my practices, all that type of stuff. I cannot do that. This is another herb. And like I said, even when it comes to the children, you have to kind of figure out, like I said, I'll put the herbs in the food. Anytime that we work with the herbs, you must be intentional. Even as simple as kitchen herbs like basil. Basil has a lot of influence when it comes to power moves, making certain moves. The element of basil is Aries. Okay? So, like I have a lot of knowledge around the herbs, not just as to what they do for the body, but also in spirit as well. Okay? So, when it comes to animals, clover red. So clover red can be burned or it can be consumed. If you have an attachment, because animals can be soulmates too. Soulmates are reflections. So if you see a reflected image or vibe within your animals, you notice the energy. So let's say if your animal deals with separation anxiety, but you're there. So it's kind of like, I don't understand why the dog, why the cat is dealing with this anxiety. But the thing is, at the same time, you may be dealing with anxiety too, which is why the dog, the cat is bothering you, even when it comes to feeling discontent. Okay, which means that you and the animal are connected. So you cannot feed the animal the herbs. There are certain herbs that animals can eat, but a lot of the herbs are poisonous to the animals. So you have to know what you can give them and what you can't. Okay, so when it comes to clover red, I will burn the herbs or I will consume them when I am connecting to the dog, because sometimes your animals can reflect what individuals on the outside are trying to do. Now, these things are for if you're in this life like that. This is not, if this is you, if you're everyday typical average person, but maybe you kind of deal with stuff, okay, to be educated is a good thing, but it's more so for individuals, who really deal with, you know, experienced individuals trying to come up against them. The herbs are very powerful. Okay, um, so when I consume the tea, then the energy of the animal will change as well. So what notes do I have here? Okay, concentration, luck, protection, success, uncrossing, love, protects and blesses domestic animals. Okay, so animals heal. So we must learn to appreciate and take care of our animals the best way in which that we can. Individuals who are advanced, they may be shamans, or they may be, maybe they just understand the connection of life. Okay? So when I say the connection of life, how we are all one. Okay? How we are all interconnected, how we're all one. So, hold on. Okay? Now, at the same time, if you have multiple people within the home and the animal is connecting to a specific individual or maybe their favorite individual, if that individual is trying to hide certain things that's going on with them energetically, you're going to see it through the animal. Okay? So you can help that other person. You can get them. A lot of people don't like tea. Nobody in my household likes the tea. Okay? My son's father, he likes that butterfly tea, but he likes the butterfly tea because it helps him with his libido. Okay? I told you it's an aphrodisiac. Okay? So it's like it inspires, it encourages more sexual production, more sexual activity. So it's really good for, the genitals, hair, nail, skin. Okay, so I deal with a lot of skin issues. So butterfly tea is the number one. When I created my natural hair growth retention, butterfly tea was a part of the ingredient, because butterfly tea helps your hair grow. That shit really works. So, I've been out of the butterfly tea for a while, so I gotta re-up. But when it comes to the clover, it's all about connection. So if you're connecting to the animal when you consume the tea, then whatever is trying to attach itself, because I told you people cannot get into my home. if they can't attach to me, some people, they're so low vibrational that even when they do the magic, the moment that they try to touch my aura, it's like their hand burns, the spirit burns, which mean, and how this is reflected, they become very combative within their mind. Okay, so it's like their brain is giving off so much, you know, like really combative energy. They're upset, they're frustrated, they can't think straight. You see what I'm saying? This is also a way as to help protect your crown too. Okay, now my thing is, of course, I don't have to put too much work in because I have a lot of my spirit guides that are helping me. But at the same time, there are things in which that I have to learn to protect myself too. I have to stand up for myself. You know, a part of defeating warfare is self-love, taking care of yourself, investing in yourself. You know, that's why sometimes it's good to be selfish, okay? But when you're being selfish, it's like, make sure that you are pouring into you, you know? And so this is a form of standing up for yourself, energetically, spiritually. So, you know, it expands your aura, okay? So tomorrow, we're going to get into spiritual bath. I'm going to show you what I do for spiritual. I have to, you know, there's a lot of work that I have to do. Okay, because they be coming for your girl. they be coming for your girl, baby. I'm trying to tell you, I've had to learn so much, because they really be trying to come for your girl. They be out here really trying to assassinate me. They be trying to kill me. They be trying to take me out, baby. I be fighting for my life in this motherfucker. You know, that too is why I got a lot of spirit guides. I don't be doing shit. You know, it's very unfair, and I'm not the person to be fucking with. You know what I mean? I'm very pure-hearted. You know, I've had to undergo a lot of abuse within my life, and it has not tainted me. It has not destroyed me. It has not killed me. It has not, you know. Of course, I have my days to where I sit back and I reflect on how unfair and how cruel people are. And yes, I have to purge. I have to cry about that. You know what I mean? Because it just kind of seems like my whole life has just been that way. You know? And I mean, I would complain about it, but I do have help. So, you know, I'm not showing appreciation to my spirit guides if I'm sitting up here. I've been saved from a lot of shit. You know, I've been saved from a lot of shit. So I don't have any room to complain. You know, I have to stay healed. I'm very important to a lot of people, whether they want to accept that or not. And the thing is that I'm not meant to be seen. I'm meant to be experienced. I just have to exist. I just have to be somewhere where people can see me. The best place for me to do that is the internet, because the internet creates distance. But at the same time, you know, dealing with these cameras and shit, this is a portal. So a lot of the times when I have to deal with the evil eye, the jealousy, people sit back, watch me, and they got all these bad thoughts that they're having about me while they're watching me. You know what I'm saying? All of that comes through the portal. The body is a portal. I'm a psychic medium. It's a portal. So I'm very sensitive. I'm very empathetic. I'm very in the feel. So I feel, I know. You know what I mean? Those are kind of like my, well, I'm not going to say those are my mantras, but to sum it up in a nutshell, that's what it is. You know, sometimes when people are trying to hide or cloak, my spirit guides know what's going on, so they will tell me. Okay? So, I mean, I think that's about it. But, you know, tomorrow I'm going to go in, maybe even tonight, I might go in with showing you what I do for my spiritual baths. You know, the spiritual baths can be used for many different things. It's all about intentions. It's all about intentions. You know, I tell a lot of people who try to come up against me, it's kind of like, you really don't believe in what you do, because if you believe that it's so powerful that you want to use it against me, you don't understand how powerful it will be for you to improve your life. You see what I'm saying? It's opposing energy. You know, I don't use my talents, my gifts for wickedness, but other people do. You know, and then some people will use and exploit other people's spiritual talents to come up against me. This is opposing because the intentions are different. I'm using the magic of life to make my life better, to where people are using shit to make other people's lives hell. So this is the opposing. I'm open with my shit and what I do. So it's easy for people to make it look like I'm something that I'm not. But I'm not going to stop being me. Motherfuckers is not going to hide me. They not going to shut me up. They not going to do none of that. You know, hopefully, you know, I'm just patiently waiting for the day to where I meet my love and I can just disappear. I can just disappear. You know, my social media, everything is going to freeze. I'm never going to be on social media again. I'm going to be living my life behind the scenes. You know, but until then, we must continue to keep going. You know, we must continue to keep fighting, I guess. You know what I mean? So, you know, it just is what it is. But my thing is that when it comes to intentions, it is your intentions that charges up what you're trying to do. Emotion is the number one ingredient other than intention. Okay, the more an individual feels into what they are provoking, the stronger it is. But with some people, it don't matter how strong you are. There are universal laws, and there are just some people you cannot fuck with, because there's a bigger picture to their life other than warfare. You know, you hear stories of people, you know, I have had a lot of near-death experiences. You know, I've tried to commit suicide many times. This shit never works. That is purposeful. They trying to take you out, they trying to kill you, you ain't dead. Because your life is purposeful. You know what I'm saying? It's bigger than you, is bigger than what other people understand or comprehend, it just is what it is, you know. So when we get into the spiritual baths, remember it's about cleansing. But the spiritual baths, there are so many things that you can do. You know, I'm such a lover. You know, I share my vessel with a lot of goddesses. So the energy is always, you know, I'm always in love. I'm always about the beauty. You know, dealing with a lot of warfare is so much hatred. You know, it's so dark, it's so disturbing. You know, so it's kind of like I feed more of the love. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. A lot of things that I do, it has to do with love. Just like when I told you about, you know, when I cook for the guy, you know, it be the goddesses. It be the goddesses. You know, they pick, they be, you know, I guess they pick the vessel. I don't know. You know, I was just like, damn, why am I feeding him? I said, this is some sexy shit. I was feeding him. You know, I'm trying to tell you, when I was cooking, I felt good. You know, I was feeling beautiful. You know, he was feeling, he was attracted to me too. So that added to the energy as well. So I'm sitting up here, I'm cooking, feeling good, feeling beautiful, taking my time with cooking. You know, this was a new recipe. I don't know how to make fucking honey garlic chicken, but I made it and it was delicious. And I sprinkled the flour on top of it, fed it to that man, gave him that aphrodisiac. We drank from the same cup. So, I said, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm so sorry. I know, you know. But see, I will have experiences so that I can understand what is going on. I'm learning how to do the shit. I'm learning what it does. And I'm learning the negative effect that it can have if I'm not intentional or structured with what I'm doing. I know it's a brain buster, ain't it? Right. Which is why I have to put so much work into doing my mental health, working on my mental health. Okay? And that's why I encourage so much of it in the spiritual community as well. You know? Whew. I said I never made that shit again. I never made that honey garlic chicken. You know, I said I gotta be careful with these flowers. You know. It was a good night, I'll tell you that. You know, but I tell you, a night of pleasure can turn into 5 months of hell. I'm telling you. Oh my God. So anyway, a lot of the times when it comes to my spiritual baths, it's about cleansing and protection. You know, like I said, I'm more so about the love. So there have been times to where, you know, I have performed like love rituals, you know, within the bath with using the spiritual bath too. But you know, I'm staying away from all of that when it comes to me teaching, because I want to teach how to use these tools to protect. That's all I want. That's the only intention, is to protect as well as heal. Okay, I save the love shit for my love life and to help me with my self-love. You know. it's kind of like I'm it's like I'm performing like goddess artistry on a human. That's very detrimental, you know. So for me to really be able to explore my herbs and all this type of shit, you know, I have to get with a man who's like powerful. You know, I can't be with just a regular man and really explore my gifts. You know, like I can't yoni steam, you know, and I can't be as feminine as I want to be unless I'm with a very powerful man. So a lot of things that I do, a lot of things that I know, you know, things have been put on hold because it's kind of like I'm doing damage out here to people. So I started to put more focus on protection and healing instead of love. So, I mean, you know, but anyway, we just gonna wrap it up there. So until next time, we'll talk again. Thank you.